The 4x100 meter relay is always one of the most interesting events to watch in track and field. Literally, the four fastest men from one country line up together to get the baton around the track as fast as possible. Now, for literally decades, the United States and Jamaica, in more recent years, have always by far had the fastest teams on paper. And history reflects that, with both countries winning the majority of Olympic and World Championship golds throughout all of history, the USA with 24 and Jamaica with 6. But behind those two is one country that almost always seems to deliver despite never having the fastest four guys on the track. That country is Canada.
Rivalry between who?
Canada.
Who?
Canada.
Who?
Hey, that's the right answer.
Now, at the 2025 Florida Relays, Canada put together a relay team of Aaron Brown, Jerome Blake, Brendon Rodney, and Andre de Grasse, which ran a time of 38.09 seconds to win the 4x100 meter relay. Now, on paper, that time doesn't really mean much, but that specific team is very, very important, as it's the exact same team that won gold at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris, France. Now, that gold medal came on the heels of Canada progressively achieving better and better results at Worlds and Olympics in recent years after a very long drought of not winning a single relay medal since the 1990s. So for me, it begs the question, has Canada's 4x1 already solidified their spot as the clear favorites for gold at the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo later on this year? Well, before looking forward, I wanted to look back a bit to better understand the history of Canada's 4x1 and how they became such a dominant force on the relay. Now, the 4x100 meter relay was first introduced to the Olympic schedule in 1912, but Canada first made an Olympic final at the 1928 Games in Amsterdam, where they unfortunately were disqualified. Over the course of the next 60 years, Canada would make various finals but fail to actually win a medal of any color, with their highest finish being a 4th place in 1932. Now, their first ever medal came in 1984, where they won a bronze at the LA Olympic Games behind the United States and Jamaica. But fast forward to the mid-1990s, and Canada would arguably become the most dominant relay team in the world. The 1993 World Championships would once again see Canada earn a bronze medal, this time behind the United States and Great Britain. Now, their team consisted of Robert Esme, Glenroy Gilbert, Buri Surin, and Atlee Mahoran. 2 years later, at the 1995 World Championships, Canada's Donovan Bailey took home the 100-meter gold medal, the first ever for Canada at Worlds, and just the second ever 100-meter gold after Percy Williams won Olympic gold in 1928. But a few days later, Bailey would join Esme, Gilbert, and Surin to capture the country's first ever gold medal in the 4x100 meter relay. That lineup would prove to be essential, as 1 year later at the 1996 Olympic Games, the same four men would join together to once again capture relay gold in Atlanta. But they would continue their streak, again rising to the top of the podium at the 1997 World Championships in Athens, winning gold in the 4x100 meter relay once again. Now, these 3 consecutive wins could very likely be seen as upsets, considering the United States on paper was by far the best team. They not only owned the world record, a mark they had set 5 consecutive times, but they also had the fastest men in the world throughout the 1990s, including the world record holders prior to Donovan Bailey's legendary 9.84 at the 1996 Olympic Games. But the USA was frequently unable to pass the baton efficiently, leading to missed passes, disqualifications, and all kinds of things, or in the case of 1996, just simply poor exchanges, leading to slower times. But Canada, with their consistent team of Bailey, Surin, Esme, as well as Gilbert throughout the mid-1990s, were able to hold down the gold medal spots between 1995 and 1997, as well as that bronze from 1993. And keep in mind the fact that they've consistently remained together as a squad for so many years. Well, subsequent years after 1997 saw the team kind of take a hit, with their top 2 athletes in Bailey and Surin suffering injuries between 1998 and 2000, eventually ending their careers in the early 2000s. That effectively put a pause on Canada's hopes at returning to the top of the podium in the 4x1. Well, fast forward to 2012, after missing the Olympic final in 2 games in a row and finishing 5th at the 2008 Olympics, Canada would once again get a glimpse of success with a 3rd place finish at the London Olympic Games. A team of Gavin Smelly, Olusei Smith, Jerry Connaughton, as well as Justin Warner would run a time of 37.89 seconds behind the legendary Jamaican and US teams who finished ahead of them. But in just a few short moments while they're on the track, their celebration would turn to heartbreak as Canada was quickly determined to have stepped on the line on one of their legs, leading to a disqualification. So after completely dominating the relay between 1995 and 1997, Canada had failed to win a single Olympic or world medal of any color, let alone gold, in over 15 years at that point. But a new generation of sprinters were entering the conversation for Canada starting in the mid-2010s or so. A young Aaron Brown competed at the 2012 Olympics, though not on the relay, and would later join Canada's 4x1 in 2013, which actually would win the bronze medal in Moscow, the first ever for the country since Worlds in 1997. Now, fast forward 2 years, and we would see Brendon, Rodney, and Andre Grasse actually join Aaron Brown as well as Justin Warner to replicate that bronze medal, this time in Beijing 2015.
Rio 2016, what's next for Canada?
Yeah, we're looking forward to Rio. This is a young team, so I know we'll be back. Everyone's going to get faster next year, so I feel like we're going to be contenders again for another medal.
The following year, that team would return to the Olympic Games, this time with a young and hungry crop of talent, including Andre Grasse, who had won a bronze in the 100 and silver in the 200, the first time Canada had actually medaled in the sprints at the Olympics since Donovan Bailey's gold in 1996. Well, this time around at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, the tragedy of 2012 would be completely flipped on its head as Canada would initially finish in 4th place behind Jamaica, Japan, and the United States. But a few minutes after the race, way after the USA actually completed their victory lap of the stadium, they were later identified to have been DQ'd for passing the baton outside the zone, which meant that Canada was elevated from 4th place up to the bronze medal position, winning their first Olympic 4x1 medal since 1996. This continued the streak of podium placements that Canada had been on since 2013, starting with Aaron Brown, later adding Brendon, Rodney, and Andre Grasse. Now, though 2017 and 2019, they failed to medal, they returned to the podium in 2021 at the Olympics again, this time improving their bronze up to a silver medal. Additionally, they added Jerome Blake to the mix on the second leg, giving the team of Aaron Brown, Jerome Blake, Brendon Rodney, as well as Andre Grasse, which would hold steady for the next couple years. Well, 2022 actually proved to be a very, very interesting year. Now, despite being the 200-meter Olympic champion and really one of the more consistent 100, 200-meter runners in the world, Andre Grasse actually dealt with injuries throughout that entire year and was unable to actually make the final in either event at the 2022 World Championships, which potentially left the Canadian team with more question marks than confidence going into the relay. On top of that, the United States, competing at their first home World Championships, had swept the 100 and 200-meter podiums on the men's side with 6 different athletes, meaning they had the depth and the speed to take down pretty much any country that was on the track, at least on paper. In that 4x1 final though, Canada would not only win gold ahead of the United States, they would run a time of 37.48 seconds, taking down the previous Canadian national record set all the way back in 1996 by that legendary team.
What do you think this means for, guys like Donovan Bailey, Bruni Surin, right? Like they were some of the legends from the 90s. Now you all won gold, broke the national record while doing so. What do you think is going through their heads?
I mean, it's a pretty special thing, because last year was the 25th anniversary of Atlanta. So, for us, we really wanted to win gold in Tokyo just to pay homage to them. But, we fell a little short. And, to do it here today, especially so close to home, it feels pretty good. And I think Donovan was calling this race today. So it feels pretty good to, be able to do it, here, with, so close to home. Again, it's a very special feeling to, after such a long time. And, yeah, just to win gold, it's a pretty special feeling.
A full 25 years since their last gold medal at the 1997 Athens World Championships, Canada was once again back on top of the podium. But this would just be a precursor for the biggest prize.
I said if we want to win, we have to push it,
Yeah.
It's enough for conservative. We've got our bronzes, we have a silver, but we need that gold. So if we're going to get that, we got to go for broke and just trust us. And, the guys came through. So hopefully in the future, he might have a little more compassion when I say, hey, listen, trust us.
Well, after a few hiccups in 2023, including Andre Grasse dealing with injury and missing the relay completely in Budapest, Canada would return in 2024 to the Olympic Games in Paris and this time capture the gold medal once again at the highest stage possible. A team of Aaron Brown, Jerome Blake, Brendon Rodney, and Andre Grasse all came together to bring Canada their first Olympic gold medal since that legendary team in 1996 and their second ever gold in the event at the Games.
The Americans did what we've seen them do many times before. They kind of...
I got one thing to say, and this is Canada who? Canada who? That's for Noah.
Now, if you've noticed, I've consistently mentioned those same names: Aaron Brown, Jerome Blake, Brendon Rodney, and Andre DeGrasse. This team has remained together with a few changes kind of early in their careers over the past decade, very similar to the Canadian team, which we saw dominate through the 1990s, remaining together from 1995 all the way to 1997. Aaron was kind of the veteran of the group, joining in 2013. Then Brendon Rodney, Andre DeGrasse, they joined in 2015. Finally, Jerome Blake joined the second leg in 2021.
Oh, I mean, it still feels great. I mean, you know, because we talked about this moment so much together. We've been, you know, three of us been together since 2015. You know, Jerome's been with us since 2019. So we kind of all know each other. We have the team chemistry. We stayed together at the village. We always talked about, you know, being one of the best teams out there, you know, on the relay. So it just showed that, you know, we proved it today, and now we're looking forward to trying to defend that title next year.
This is very important because of the consistency that their team has displayed over the years. Not only have they been able to run and compete together in a pretty similar format in terms of their legs, but they also have taken the chance to actually practice in competition as a consistent team as well. Whether it was the 2022 Birmingham Diamond League, or the 2023 Florida Relays, or the 2024 World Relays, this team has been able to come together for various relay meets throughout the years in the lead up to the World Championships and the Olympics, where they would eventually go on to secure medals from bronze to silver to gold medals. And let's be clear, that's not to say they haven't had their fair share of issues, right? 2017, 2019, 2023, they failed to win a medal of any color at those World Championships. Even at the Paris 2024 Olympics, Aaron Brown and Jerome Blake actually almost messed up their handoff if you look really closely. But they have been consistent and focused over the years. To bring them from never winning a medal in over 15 years to getting back on top of the Olympic podium in commanding fashion, that takes consistency, that takes camaraderie, that takes practice that few teams in the world have really been able to replicate. And so this brings us back to 2025, where we just saw that exact same team come together for a 4x1 at the Florida Relays, where they dropped a time of 38.09 seconds, which in general is actually one of the fastest times that Canada has ever run in history, and even more importantly, at this specific time of year, early in April. Now, Canada may not have the fastest guys on paper, but listen, they show up when it counts the most. In my opinion, practice doesn't make perfect, but consistency can create champions, right? And that's what Canada has essentially done since 2013, and even going back to the 1990s with that consistent team from 1993 all the way to 1997. So do you think that Canada could be on a path to once again win 4x1 gold at the Tokyo World Championships this year? Honestly, they have proven that they don't need the foot speed to do it. So if you don't think that they will win gold, I don't know, what is it that you would say otherwise, right? They have that consistency, they have that camaraderie, and they have the ability to do it. But do you actually think it's going to come to fruition? So let me know what you think. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Always appreciate y'all, and thanks for watching.